Hello and welcome to today's presentation. We're here today to share some information and answer all of your questions about residential housing at WWU. Today's presentation is a part of a series of workshops designed to help you feel prepared and ready to start your college adventure at Walla Walla University. Or if you're a parent that's joining us, you can see what kind of information we're going to be giving to students so you can help them along that walk as well. My name is Trevor Congleton, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Enrollment Services. I'm here to introduce our subject experts and help answer any questions that you may have. Before we start, I'd like to say a quick word of prayer to bless our time together. So if you guys can bow your heads with me, let's talk to God for just a minute. Dear God, I just pray that you'd be with us as presenters, that you'd also be with our audience members, and that you would guide this discussion as we're talking about your school. That means a lot to us. And so we just pray that you'd be with us, be with them as they are wrapping up whatever they've got going at home and getting ready to come to the school, and just bless our efforts as we go forward, and bless them this evening. In your name, amen. Okay, today I've asked Gracia Castillo, Associate Dean of Residential Life, to talk to us about what new students need to know about living in the residence halls at WWU. We also have with us today one WWU student who will be sharing their experiences of living in the residence halls, and will give you some tips and tricks that they've learned by taking advantage of the unique experiences that come with living in our residence halls. That would be Bethany. You can see her picture right there. At any time during this presentation, if you have a question, you can ask it by typing it in the chat box. We will get to all of your questions at the end of this presentation, which should take anywhere from about 20 to 30 minutes or so. If you'd like to download the slides that we'll be covering in this presentation, you can download them through the link in the panel on the right side of your screen. And don't worry if we don't get to your question until the very end. We usually save them all till that point. So if you don't get an immediate answer, just wait. We will get to all of them. We will not sign off until we've answered any and all of the questions that you guys have in the audience. Okay, let's get started. Gracia, let me pass it over to you. Why don't you start with introducing yourself and what you do on campus?
Thank you, Trevor. Hi, everyone. I'm Gracia Castillo. I'm one of the Associate Deans for Residential Life. It's my job to oversee the process of students signing up for and being placed in residential rooms. I'm also just an overall presence here on campus, here to support you guys as you experience life here in the dorms for however long you are here. And as we go through the presentation, if there's anything that isn't clear, be sure to ask for clarifications in the chat. My goal is to make sure that you feel confident about what your everyday life is going to look like here in the dorms. First up, as you can see here on the maps, we have 4 locations, our 4 dorms. We do refer to ourselves as a residential campus because most of our students live in university-owned housing. We believe in living life together, and we have a live-in requirement until students are 22 or have senior standing. Of course, there are exceptions to this. For example, if you're living with your parents, grandparents, or a direct aunt or uncle. You can submit some documentation to live off campus, but we generally have fewer than 20 freshmen living outside of the residence halls, which gives you an opportunity to be a part of a vibrant, active, and close community, and that's why the majority of freshmen live on campus. So let's talk a little bit about the residence halls themselves. We have 2 main residence halls for men and 2 for the women. Conard Hall is primarily home to women that are freshmen and sophomores, which includes most incoming students, while Foreman Hall is designated for juniors and seniors. The 2 halls are connected by a breezeway, and the main entrances for both is located in Foreman Hall. We have several kitchens, 13 laundry rooms, and a fitness center. There are community bathrooms and showers on each hall, and all halls also have study spaces. We have 3 different room dimensions in the women's halls. Conard South has rooms that are about 12 by 15 feet. Conard North has rooms that are 10 by 16 feet. And Foreman Hall, all of the rooms are 12 by 18 feet. Then we have Sittner. Sittner is a residence hall for men and houses our incoming students. It has a laundry room, a study room, kitchen, and community bathrooms and showers as well. Sittner has a large fitness center and an entertainment and study suite as well. In Sittner, most of the rooms range from 10 by 16 to 12 by 15 feet, but there are a variety of configurations in Sittner. And then lastly, we do have Mesky, which is our upperclassmen or junior senior status residents.
One great thing about all of our residence halls is that laundry is free. So use of washers and dryers is included in the rent, so you don't have to save up your quarters and have your parents send them to you in nickels and dimes. That is absolutely free. We want to make sure that you as students are able to have clean laundry, be able to go to class smelling great. So that's important to us. So just remember that that is a free service. You will need to provide your own laundry detergent though, right?
Yes, please bring your own laundry detergent. We do not provide that here, but it's very nice that we do provide free washers and dryers in each of the buildings. And it's very important, especially as you come along, just make sure that once you're here, you start taking care of yourself and make sure that you don't just run out of dirty clothes or clean clothes. You make sure to do your laundry every week. I wanted to show you a few pictures of the buildings here. So first we have Conard. It's just so you can get a better idea of what it looks like. You can get really creative with the layout, with your decorations, and I've seen some pretty amazing setups. What we do provide for every dorm is a bunk bed. So you have 2 beds, you have 2 desk spaces, you have chairs, shelves, 2 closets, and 2 sets of dressers. And all of the rooms have windows, the blinds, a sink, and a mirror. Moving on to foreman, foreman varies a little bit across the residence halls. If you have questions about the rooms, you can ask your questions in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Or we can send more specific follow-up to you via email if needed.
When you're shopping for room decor and supplies, one thing to keep in mind is that all of the beds will need extra long twin sheets, not the regular size twin sheets. So that's super important. We want to make sure that your sheets actually fit the bed. So make sure you bring extra long twin sheets for them. If you bring regular size twins, that will not actually work on the mattress and would be likely uncomfortable to sleep in. So just remember, make sure you bring those extra long ones. Speaking of somebody that was tall, that used to have to sleep on a twin bed when I was in residence hall, that is a great change that they made to increase the length of those beds. So bring those sheets.
Yes, thank you for the reminder, Trevor. Extra large sheets are very, very important. You can actually find some of those, Walmart or a lot of stores or even Amazon. They are pretty widespread everywhere. And there are also a few other particulars to keep in mind when you're bringing items to your room. We recommend that you limit the items that you bring the first time you move in. Just err on the side of necessity to enhance your move-in experience. You can always bring more items after breaks, Thanksgiving or holiday or a spring break, something like that. But yeah, we can see Sittner here. The Sittner rooms do vary as well in size and the built-ins. And one of the things that we do recommend bringing, and a lot of students do bring, is actually a fridge. You can bring it up to a 4.5 cubic feet, and you're also welcome to bring a microwave. You may have a power strip in your room, but it must be grounded and have a surge protector and an on and off switch. We do have a lot of things not to bring, things to bring. You can find that all in our residence hall handbook. So a few things that we prohibit, and these are for fire code and safety reasons. So a good rule of thumb is don't bring anything that could start a fire or hurt someone. So anything that cooks food other than a microwave is typically not allowed. Also, IT wanted me to remind you to leave internet routers at home because we have access points in each of the rooms throughout the residence halls, and we don't want anything to interfere with the wireless access provided. Switching gears a little bit, bringing a vehicle to campus is perfectly fine. Students who bring a vehicle to college will be assessed a $45 vehicle registration fee. You must register your vehicle with campus security when checking in at Village Housing or the residence halls. As we have an easily walkable campus, we ask our students living in the residence halls to only park in their designated parking lots.
Speaking of campus security, parents always ask me how they can know if there's an emergency on campus. Gracia, can you talk a little bit about our emergency alert system?
Yeah, so all of our students are automatically enrolled in what's called Omni Alert Emergency System. In an emergency or situation that needs a timely alert, students will receive alerts via text messages and emails. What parents can do if they want to know what's going on as well is that they can opt in to receive these alerts. All that they need to do is that students need to provide their info online as well. So once this is done, they'll receive the same messages as our students. And I honestly suggest everyone log into Campus Emergency System and double check that their cell number and email are accurate.
Switching it up a bit, one of my favorite things to talk about is food. and that means the cafeteria on campus, of which I eat at throughout the year. Gracie, can you talk a bit about the meal plans for students that live in the residence halls and on campus?
Yeah, so all students living in the residence halls are required to have a meal plan through our dining services. Students can choose from the 4 plans that are listed here and find which one that best fits their schedule. Each plan also includes what's called flex dollars, which work like a prepaid debit card that can be used throughout the quarter at the cafeteria or the Student Association Center, which is also known as the SAC.
Great. One question I hear quite a bit from students is about residence hall curfews. Can you explain how that works for students that live there?
Yeah, so as you can see, all students are living in the residence halls. They do have a curfew, but the time is dependent on the student's age and class standing. So if, something important to keep in mind as well is that if you plan to be gone overnight, you will need to fill out what's called a leave request and then get it approved by one of the deans before you leave. We do have nightly checks, and those leave requests enable us to check in on the safety of our students at least once every 24 hours. Another thing I'd like to mention about residence hall life is our opportunities for worshiping together. Every week we host 2 worship options in the residence halls. One is put on by AGA or OPS, which are our residence hall clubs that host programming throughout the school year. The other option is a hall worship, which is facilitated by the resident assistants on each hall. The chaplain's office on campus also provides an opportunity for worship every other day of the week as well. Within the residence halls, students are required to get 16 credits during each quarter. So by the week before finals, those would need to be completed.
Gracie, you mentioned something about RAs earlier. Can you cover a little bit about who and what an RA is and what their responsibilities are?
Yes, so the official title of an RA is a resident assistant, and they are commonly known as, we mentioned, RAs. Each RA or a team of RAs are assigned to a hall, and they're there for support for safety of each of our residents. Their training includes fire safety, mental health, conflict resolution, spiritual mentorship, and conflict management as well. They're also trained in just being a point of access of resource such as counseling services, disability support services, IT, security, work orders, and so much more.
It sounds like they do a lot, and we are very lucky to have them. Gracie, if a student is listening to this and they haven't yet signed up for a room, what's the process?
Yeah, let's go through the steps listed here. So step 1 is to make sure you have your enrollment fee paid. Once that's taken care of, you'll be able to complete the rest of the steps online at wallawalla.edu/housing. So the step 2 is to complete the residence hall application and then receive approval. After that, step 3 is finding a roommate. You have a couple of options when it comes to roommates, so you can submit a request on Housing Cloud, and then we can help you pair with someone based on your bio or preferences. Or if you already have a roommate in mind, you can create a roommate group, and it's just important to make sure that you have steps 1 and 2 completed. Step 4 is when you and your roommate can log in, and together you can browse all of the room options that are available and select it. As you move through the process, be sure to check Housing Cloud regularly to track your progress. Also, remember to check your Walla Walla University email, as we'll be sending important updates and next steps there. Now, just a little reminder about move-in. Move-in for Jumpstart students begins on Sunday, September 20th. If you're traveling from more than 450 miles away, you can submit an early arrival request form through the housing website and arrive as early as Friday, September 18th. All students are required to schedule a move-in appointment, and that can also be done at wallawalla.housing.cloud. One final thing that's important to remember is that all residence halls will be closed during Walla Walla University's Christmas break. We will close at noon on the Friday after finals on December 18th, and then reopen Friday noon on January 1st before classes begin.
Gracie, will you briefly mention some of the other housing options that are available for older students, typically those with senior academic status or 22 years old and up, or those who are married or have children?
Yeah, so we do have apartments. We have studio options. We have 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms as well. It just depends on your needs. All of our units are on a first come, first served basis, so we can't guarantee that something's available for every situation. But if you do qualify for off campus, I suggest contacting village@wallawalla.edu, and they can guide you through the next steps.
Fantastic. Okay, we're almost ready to open this up for questions, but before we do, we have one student that's here with us, and I'd like to ask them to jump into the conversation and tell us about residence hall living from their perspective. Let me turn on my camera so you can see me. Let me introduce you to Bethany Anderson, who is a social work major that's currently attending Walla Walla University, and she is also a student dean in the residence halls. Bethany, can you turn your camera and join me?
Yes, thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here. I only have positive things to say about my resident life experience. First of all, starting out as a dorm student and now a student dean, I can say that living in the dorm was always a positive experience for me. Just my RAs were always really good, very attentive. I also had a lot of support from also the deans. They were able to kind of come alongside when had questions or needed anything. But alongside that, I also just really enjoyed the community that was fostered in the dorm. I really enjoyed like AGA worships my freshman year, going to them, meeting other girls, and all the pop-up events that happened through AGA also were really, really fun for me. And just a good part of being in the dorm and something I really liked.
Bethany, can I ask you, you've lived there for what? Is it 3 years now? Going into 3 years?
Going into 3 years, that's correct.
So 2 full years, and then you're entering your third year at the residence hall. What was something that you wish you knew earlier as an incoming freshman that you maybe learned a little bit later on that you were like, man, if I'd known that, that would have helped a lot?
Yeah, I think that one thing I wish that I thought of sooner and something that I definitely implemented now going into my junior year is I think just really being, I guess, going to everything. I think my freshman year I did that a lot, but I think my sophomore year I went to everything, but then I also put myself out there. And I think the dorm gave like great opportunities to do that. Is like I would show up to the events, but I would also put myself out there, which I think is something that I enjoyed. I think another really, really good tip is, I think Dean Castillo touched on it, that, you don't need as much as you think you need. I wish I had packed less and maybe brought things as I needed them versus taking everything with me, and then move out day came along and I had a lot to move out.
No, that makes total sense. It's good advice, I think. Okay, let me switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about eating. So
Okay.
that's something that's like important to students, important to their life, like their life on campus. Can you talk a little bit about the cafeteria? Maybe like if you've got like what's your favorite meal that's there, what you think of it, and then also like if you have any like cafeteria hacks. I'll go first. My personal favorite cafeteria hack is you combine the unlimited soft serve ice cream machine with our unlimited soda fountain, and then you make floats, root beer floats, whatever you want. Unlimited, delicious. It's one of my favorite things. I have to be careful though. But that's one that I have. Like, what's your favorite meal first?
My favorite meal is gonna have to be breakfast, Sunday morning breakfast with the biscuits and gravy, hash browns, tofu for your vegans or vegetarians. So eggs also. But that's one of my favorite cafeteria breakfasts that they have, and meals overall. I'm a breakfast person. A hack I would say that I have would definitely be to, well, in our cafeteria, we have a wrap line that's open during lunch hours. You can go in and customize and make and build your own wrap. But if you take some beans from the salad line and ask them to add it into your wrap, I enjoy making some burritos and things there. So that's a really nice hack if you're wanting some extra protein or just, to switch it up. It's an option.
One of the things that I love that you mentioned, because this is our second presentation that we've done for this today, because we did one at 4 o'clock, that I think is an important one is maybe go like sometimes it can get a little packed, right? Especially right at the beginning of the hour, as soon as students are out of class. And so she mentioned like, oh, if it's packed, go through and get a salad. It tends to be a little bit less of a line. You can be eating that while you're in line, waiting for the main course, that kind of stuff. So you're getting your food on right off the bat. You're not having to wait in line. I thought that was a wonderful hack. So I thought I'd share that with everybody. But credit to you for that one for sure. Or if you're a little less healthy, grab a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And then do it. That's what I've done. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. One of the things that you mentioned this, and Gracia mentioned it earlier, you said AGA and OPS. Can you explain what those are, which they're the men's and women's residence hall clubs, and kind of what activities they do throughout the year?
Yeah, so the AGA club is the girls' club here that all the girls are automatically enrolled in when they become a resident of the dorms club. And they have things like Monday night worships, which is another way to get your worship credits, along with hall worships that happen every Tuesday night. And so that's just something that's really fun and enjoyable that's able to happen throughout the dorm, along with the opportunity to, just hang out and have that community. They also have events on Tuesday nights. They'll do some food events, some pop-up events like quesadillas nights, drink nights, all those fun things. And then they have on a larger scale events. They have some Galentine's, a women wellness care, and then a breast cancer run that they also do. And then on the other side, you have the OPS, which is for the boys, and they also have similar events as worship and hall worships, but they also do things like the Mud Bowl, and then on their nights, they have activities like Hall v. Hall, Super Bowl, the whole thing out, all in the Sittner lobby, a bunch of food, pizza. I've gone. It is definitely fun to go to, and I don't even like football like that. They also do, both of the clubs also have their own Vespers throughout the school year that you're also able to be a part of if you reach out to the deans. So another opportunity to get involved on campus.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much for giving us kind of some student insights. I'm going to be opening this up for the audience questions in just a couple minutes. But before I do that, I want to point out some important dates for everyone to keep in mind. Also, feel free. I've seen a couple questions that have already come in. If we have not answered a question yet and you haven't already asked it in the chat box, make sure you're putting that in now, because we're kind of past a lot of the information. And so if there's something you're wondering, put in that chat box and we'll go. Okay, let me talk about the dates. First right off the bat is September 20th, which is Residence Hall move-in, is when it begins. Like Gracia said earlier, make sure that you are filling out your move-in time so that the Residence Hall can be prepared and ready as you get ready to move all of your stuff in with your families. Or just yourself, depending if they're coming with you. Second, we've got Jumpstart, which begins on Sunday, September 20th and goes until Friday, the 25th. Jumpstart is a very important week of orientation for new students, and all incoming freshmen are required to attend. There'll also be a transfer orientation that'll take place, which you should hear more about from our academic advisement department as we get closer to that date for when you should be showing up for that. You want to make sure you come because it'll be really good information to help make your start here a success. Then by Wednesday, September 23rd at 4 p.m., you should have paid down your down payment to the institution, completed any necessary paperwork for student loans, and completed your financial clearance online, which, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about that 1 week from today. So next Wednesday, we'll actually go through the whole entire process of financial clearance, which you guys can follow along with that because it should be open at that point. And then on Monday, September 28th, you begin your college education at Walla Walla University. And while we're still about a month, a little bit over a month and a half-ish out, that'll come a lot quicker than you are thinking. So just be ready, be prepared. That's what's going to matter. Okay, next, coming up on the screen in just a second is we've got some phone numbers that you might find helpful if you have any questions after this presentation. There it is, you can see it. Sorry, my picture is blocking the first one, but that is the university toll-free number, 800-541-8900. I'll tell you that out of all these numbers, that's probably the most helpful one, because if you call that during regular business hours, 8 to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 8 to noon on Friday, you'll actually get a hold of someone that'll actually answer, unless we have a million calls coming in, then you go to a voicemail, but you actually get to talk to a real person, and then they can help direct you to the right place that you need to talk to, and also give you the number there. So if you're only jotting down one number, get that. I'd say, but all these other ones are important as well. If you already know kind of what your questions are, you can know where you need to go to and who you need to call. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the audience's questions. Just a reminder, you can ask your questions in the chat box as we go along. I've seen a couple more coming in, so great. We will get to all of them, so just bear with us as we go from start to finish. We'll answer them as they go. Also, don't forget that Bethany is still here, our guest student. So if you have particular questions for her from a student perspective, don't be afraid to ask them, because I know that she'd be happy to answer whatever she can. Okay, let's go to the first question. It looks like it says, I've got some questions about my housing for fall. What's the best way to reach out to the residence halls with my questions? Gracia, that's going to be a question for you.
Yeah, so the best way to reach us is either emailing or giving us a phone call. So the email would be residencehalls@wallawalla.edu. We'll put it here in the chat as well, but residencehalls@wallawalla.edu. All of our deans have access to that email, so if any question comes through, we check it on the daily, and we'll answer those as soon as we can. And then another way is giving us a phone call. So you can call our front desk, and the front desk will connect you to the dean on duty.
Great. And I just put in to everybody in the chat box, residencehalls at wallawalla.edu is the email address that you can reach out to. Okay, let's see. Next question. This looks like it's going to be for Bethany. Bethany, if you can join us, that would be awesome. Bethany, what are some of your favorite restaurants or eateries around town or places that students like to eat off campus?
I think a place that's very, very popular around here is Iceberg. That's kind of a drive-in burger place. You can kind of come out, order your food at a window, and you can drive to parks or local neighborhoods or kind of just chill with your friends. A little bit more casual, but if you're looking for more sit-down restaurant or a place you can sit and eat, I would definitely recommend Yama's. It's a Greek restaurant, and it has really good falafels. The tzatziki is really good, and just overall really yummy meal.
Awesome. Both great recommendations, in my opinion. Out of curiosity, because earlier you said that breakfast is your favorite meal. Do you have a favorite breakfast place in town?
Oh, yes, the Maple Counter. I love Maple Counter. I would recommend. They have the fluffiest pancakes I've ever had, and their potatoes are very, very good.
You're making me hungry talking about it. So, okay, cool. Thank you so much for the answer. That was great. It looks like the next one is going to be for you, Gracia. I'm not sure who to room with for this coming fall. Do you have any suggestions on what qualities to look for in a roommate?
Yeah, some things, if you haven't done so already and you're looking for someone, you could submit what's called a roommate request. So if you go to Housing Cloud, there's a top right-hand corner that says request, and you'll just fill out our fall 2026 roommate request form. And it'll just ask you, what are your preferences? You know, what are some things that are you looking for specifically? And we'll take that into consideration when pair you with someone. Something I value when pairing people is also their hygiene levels. You know, their hygiene, their bedtime. Is it someone that wakes up early? Do they like to study late? Noise preferences, stuff like that are very, very important when it comes to having a roommate.
Awesome. Very good advice. Okay, next one. This is going to be for either one of you because you're both familiar with residence hall policy. Can we bring our own heaters or AC units?
So you cannot bring your own heater. We do have heaters in every single building, so it's not, you shouldn't really need a heater. We keep you warm during the winter, no worries. AC units, though, you are able to bring an AC unit. It has to be a portable unit. It can't be one that goes into your window, right? So that's a fire hazard. The fire department wants to make sure that you can escape through your window if you need to in case of an emergency. But it can be a portable one.
Great. Thank you for answering that. Just stick with me because it looks like a lot of them are going to be you. Can we bring our own mattress?
You cannot bring your own mattress. You know, our mattresses really aren't that bad. They're pretty comfy. I've actually slept on one myself when I first moved here. But yeah, you cannot bring your own mattresses, unfortunately. We do recommend maybe like a bed topper, like a foam, if you want something a little more cushy. But yeah.
And this came up earlier too, a question kind of related to the mattresses. The residence hall regularly switches out mattresses, purchase new ones when they get old or used too much. So they're kind of on this rotation basis, depending on like the lottery, I guess, if you get a brand new one or one that's maybe a year old. So they try to keep them in good condition throughout. But I think the advice of, bringing a topper or things like that can really help students be a little bit more comfortable, but they're not bad at all. I didn't use a topper when I lived in the residence hall. But also I was younger, so my back could handle it. Okay, next question is, where do you find the move-in early form? I think you mentioned that a couple times, but it bears repeating.
Yeah, so if you log into Housing Cloud, you've completed your housing application, you can either find it in your dashboard or under the action list. It's just called early arrival request form, or you can find it in the apps and forms. You go into your 2026 fall application, and it should be under additional forms. So it should be just in your dashboard. As soon as you log in, you'll see that option under your action list if you'd like to fill that out.
Cool, that's great. Next question is, do you have to have an assigned roommate before you're able to select a room? Good question.
Yes, yeah, it's a great question. I think people forget that. You do, our housing system works in the way that you have to have a roommate in order to select a room. So all of our rooms are considered double occupancy, and you have to have a roommate in order to select your room.
Let's see, another one. Do the beds in Sittner separate, or are they all fixed bunk beds that have to stay as bunk beds?
So we just set them up as bunk beds as you're moving in and you set up, but you can take them down. You can put them a little higher. You can put them a little lower. You can keep them as bunk beds for spacing, but no, you can definitely detach them. It's just how we set them up at first.
Since we're talking about beds, there was another question that came a little bit later, so I'm going to just put that onto this question as well. Is there a way to get both beds in Sittner? So a lot of questions about Sittner living. Is there a way to get both beds in Sittner high enough to put desks underneath them?
Unfortunately not. We do not have those loft pieces yet. I believe we're looking into trying to order those pieces that came in with our new pieces for our bed furniture and that kind of stuff. But at the moment, we do not have any loft pieces to do that.
So maybe in the future, but not for this coming fall. That's good answers. Okay, next one. If we're out of state, do we have a place to store our items during the summer so we don't have to send them home? So is there storage options? Also, are there storage options maybe during the school year? How does that kind of stuff work for the residence halls?
Yeah, so we do have storage options during the summer. We have storage in every single building. It's just a $45 fee per quarter. So the summer quarter would be $45 for the entire summer. You just have to book in advance. But as the school year comes to a close, we send out information about that and how to book it. And during the school year, we don't provide that storage. But we do, your rooms, honestly, they have a decent amount of room. You can put it under your beds, your luggages and stuff like that. Or Conard specifically has some extra storage area that you can put some stuff in there.
Okay, this next question I'm going to give to Bethany, since we haven't heard from her in a little while. Because you're a student dean, so you have to deal with this. And you've been an RA too, right?
No, actually, no.
Okay, so you're going straight to dean. You bypass the RA process. That just means that you're skilled. Okay, how are noise issues handled in the residence halls? What are the quiet hours and how are they managed? If, for example, a student is having trouble sleeping because other residence hall people aren't being quiet enough, how does that work in the residence halls?
So quiet hours in the dorm are from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next morning. So there's just hours where people are trying to be respectful and just practically quiet, not making loud noise, no loud music. And so most of the times the RA is on the halls. For Conard, there's 2 RAs on each hall. And then for Foreman, they're scattered through every hall. So every single hall, there's an RA. And so then go to your RA, say, hi, I'm having some issues with this. The RA will kind of direct you, like, okay, thank you for letting me know. They'll notify the dean, make some general announcements through the hallway to let them know that, hey, everyone's, there's been some noise complaints. If it continues and it persists and you continue to tell your RA, then you would go ahead and go to the dean and then the dean would take care of it. If you know the exact student, that also helps. But if it's just general noise complaints and it's more of a hall issue, that the dean and RA would work to address.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's really helpful. I think the biggest thing is that if you as a student are here and you're struggling in some way in the residence hall, it's important to communicate that with your RA who's there, and their job is to kind of help make sure that you are having a good experience in the residence, and then also the deans that are available and student deans. They're all trying to be there to be helpful, but they have to know if you're struggling with something. Super important. Yeah. Great. Good answer. Okay. Next question is, where are you allowed to park as a student? Gracia, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so if you live in the dorms, we do have assigned parking lots. So Foreman has a large parking lot, about like 2 spaces actually. Conard has a little section as well, but they can also use the Foreman parking lot as well as Mesquite student residents. And then Sittner has an even larger parking lot right by Sittner. So those are the assigned spaces there. But you do get like a little sticker when you register your vehicle, which I do recommend. Security is on it. They do their walkthroughs. So it's important to register your vehicle as soon as you get to campus, or even before. I think you can do it now online. But yeah, you'll be able to park around campus.
Great. Okay, next question is, when it says that move-in begins on Sunday, September 20th, does that mean that Sunday is the only move-in day? Or can we arrive move-in later in the week? If we arrive on Monday or Tuesday, would that mean the freshman student would miss out on important and or required Jumpstart sessions? Gracia, if you would kind of tackle the move-in time, because I know that there's like a certain mile range that if you're outside of this, you're allowed to move in a little bit early, because we know that it's a little bit harder to get here. Talk about that, and then I'll talk about the Jumpstart stuff.
Yeah, so if you do live over 450 miles away, this is where you submit that early arrival request form so that you can arrive Friday. So the earliest you can move in is Friday, September the 18th. And then we do have move-in slots, right? So it'd be starting 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., usually starting Sunday. Friday is at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., just out of respect for Sabbath hours, and we don't allow move-ins on the Sabbath either. Then move-ins would begin Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then throughout the week, you can move in. But yeah, I recommend getting here on time because we do have a lot of sessions, including the Res Hall info session starting Sunday night as well. So,
So be here. Yeah, no, you're talking about exactly what I was going to talk about, which is great. You would need to be here, I'd say, by Sunday at about 11 o'clock. I think we've got some stuff that starts. There's a presidential luncheon that's put on for new families where you can kind of meet and talk to people. We get to know you. There's some good information there. And then as we progress into the afternoon, there starts to be more jumpstart activities. You pick up like your schedule, all that kind of stuff. So you will want to be here no later than Sunday. If you arrive late on Monday or something like that, or Tuesday, your student will have missed out on really important things. So be here if at all possible. If it's an emergency or something like that where you're just not able to, then communicating with the Jumpstart coordinator, which that's out of our academic advisement, or no, academic records is the one that runs it, sorry, academic records. Then you'd want to connect with them to let them know that you have extenuating circumstances why you can't come, and what their recommendation would be. But if at all possible, be here on that Sunday early, move in. You can move in the afternoon as well, like Gracia was saying. But be here for sure on Sunday. Would be my recommendation officially from the university. Okay, next question is, where do athletes check in? So for those of you that don't know, we've got student athletes that actually are arriving early onto campus. We actually have some that just arrived, was it this last Monday or Tuesday, I think, which was for soccer and volleyball. So we've already got some on campus, and they've been checking in at the residence halls already. And then I think basketball starts a little bit early too, unless I'm mistaken, which I'd say really important to pay attention to what the coaches and athletic director are telling you as an athlete for when you should be arriving on campus. So watch your email, watch your text messages, watch your voicemails. They should be giving you information about what that process is for checking in. Anything to add to that I may have missed?
Yeah, just I pass on information, they pass on information to me, but they should have sent you guys an email with all of the steps into moving in early for athletes as well, including our athlete application, just so that you can move in and schedule your move in as well.
Great. Okay, next question. Is there a blueprint of the floors to help when you're selecting a room? For example, to see if a room is close to the restrooms, laundry, or study rooms. Like, how does that work?
We don't have anything posted at the moment on the website, but if you want to email residencehalls@wallawalla.edu, I can send it to you there, kind of give you some suggestions. We do have some floors already completely booked, so then I can send you the options that we do have available, and kind of cross off some options for you as well. But yeah, just email residencehalls@wallawalla.edu and I can send that to you.
Awesome. Next question is, what times are the campus gym open? So there's a couple of different places. We're talking about working out spaces. There's some in both residence halls, right? That they have to have, I think, some staffing in, at least at Sittner, because it's weights. If I'm remembering correctly. No, they don't have to somebody there?
It's 24/7, and we do have the cameras, but yeah, no, there's no staffing in there.
Got it. I think you signed a waiver or something.
Yeah, we do have waivers.
There's an inherent risk by using these by myself, which I'd recommend if you're doing like heavy weightlifting, have a spotter, be smart, for sure. And then what about in the women's residence hall? Is there a certain time that they're open and available, or is it 24/7 as well?
It's 24/7 as well.
Okay. Then there are also at the Winter Education Complex, there's also additional facilities for working out. Those kind of depend on the staffing. Usually it's open pretty early in the morning, if I remember, during the school year, for students that get up early and want to do that right off the bat. And then it's usually open pretty late, and they will post all of those like on the schedule. But if you're in the residence hall, you'll have access to a lot of that stuff that you can go to whenever you are free. Okay, next one is, are there clothes closets in your room in both Sittner, Foreman, Conard, and Mesky?
Yes, every dorm and dorm room has a closet specifically, and then a wardrobe as well.
And is that two of them? So one for each of the residents? Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next one. How high can you get the beds in Sittner to plan for storage underneath?
That's a fantastic question. I don't have the measurements for that. It's pretty high. You could fit boxes under there, some suitcases, but it's not high enough to put like your desk and to work under there. So for storage, yeah, you can get it decently high.
And I think you said earlier that like they can like you'll have some risers that you have that people can pick up when they first move in if they would like to try to raise their beds, but you are not allowed to bring your own risers from home. So you can check with residence halls. They've got the ones that they've rubber stamped and said these are safe. They can bear weight that is necessary, which we can't guarantee that if you bring your own. So safety wise, make sure you get those ones. Don't bring your own risers, but that'll help kind of increase some of the storage space underneath your bed. Okay, next one. This is again for you. I filled out a form to get paired with a roommate, but I haven't heard back yet. When should I expect to hear who that will be? So I'm guessing you weren't sure who to room with, and so they're trying to help you figure it out.
Yeah, thank you for filling that out. We do some pairing about every 2 weeks. So if you haven't heard back, I'm so sorry. We should be getting that out this week as well. And then just make sure to check Housing Cloud. That's where I kind of give you those updates. So the same place that you filled out that request, you'll get some responses of, hey, this is the person. We grouped you guys together, and now you can choose a room. If you talk to that person and you're like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it, we're not getting along, please let me know as well. We want to make sure that you are comfortable and happy with the person that we've helped to choose for you as well.
Great. And like you said earlier, you can always email or call them at the residence halls. They're happy to help if you have a specific question. Make sure you do that. They're there and they're got good customer service, so they can help as you are trying to go through the process. Let's see. Another one is I'm going to give this one, Bethany, to you. Can you bring a fridge? And if so, what other things would you recommend that students bring?
Yeah, fridges you're welcome to bring a fridge. I recommend bringing a fridge because sometimes at night if you get hungry, if you're not your schedule doesn't line up, you don't want to wake up at 8 a.m. for your 9 a.m. class to go to the cafe and get breakfast. You can grab something quick in your room. So I'd recommend bringing a fridge. I'd also recommend bringing a Swiffer mop. A lot of people don't think about mopping their floors. A broom, a mop, it's really nice to have. Basic cleaning supplies are also really good. Shower caddy, flip-flops for the shower flip-flops, shower shoes, whatever you prefer, anything like that. Another really big thing I would think of bringing is also some of your important documents and passports, especially if you think about working here on campus or you think about having a campus job. I'd also make sure to have some of those essentials so then you don't have to wait for your parents to email it or for a break to happen for you to work, and you're kind of able to get moving right away.
Good. And I think, too, making sure that you're talking with your roommate is super important, so that you're not bringing 2 full-size fridges. That's a little bit of overkill, in my opinion. You want to make sure you're checking, because if they're bringing a mini fridge, then maybe you bring a microwave, right? So you kind of are working together to try to figure out how can we stock our room the way that we need to so we can be comfortable while we're living there, but that you're not filling everything double. That would be a bad move because you will eat up all of your space very quickly.
Exactly. And also it is okay to have 2 fridges. Me and my roommate did 2 fridges once too, and it was also very useful. Yeah. Just
was it full size or mini?
They were 2 minis, but still.
So one full size, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. And that's gonna be nice too. If you each bring a mini one, you can stack them on top of each other, and you can keep your food separated, all that kind of stuff. So that's smart. But just be smart as you're doing it, making sure you're getting the most space out that you can.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Next one. Can you repeat the timeline on Sunday? Who needs to be there Sunday morning before noon? That may be hard for us. There's stuff that's not required that happens earlier on Sunday. It's just things the university is going to be providing to those of you that are coming. I'd say you probably need to be there. Gracie, do you know what time the jumpstart stuff kind of starts on Sunday? Off the top of your head?
I do not. I know I believe it's the luncheon, and then they kind of hit it hard. I believe the first training is the residential life introduction. But
what time is that at?
Actually, Bethany, you did Jumpstart last year.
Yeah, I was a Jumpstart leader last year. So,
perfect.
Yeah. The big thing, again, like you said, present luncheon, recommend going to, but then you also have the student dinner that happens, and that's the first big thing that happens, and that'll be in Centennial Green or in the cafeteria. I know last year they did in the cafeteria, so really the big thing to be there for is that first dinner that happens, that first getting to know your staff. I think around 5:30 is last time I remember it happening. Maybe a little earlier, 4:30, somewhere around that 4:30 area.
I found it online.
Oh,
The
perfect.
Jumpstart schedule, I was able to find on the university website while we were talking. So they've got check-in that starts for Jumpstart from 9 to 11:30 in the morning. Then 12 to 1:30 is the President's Luncheon. At 2 to about 3:50, that is also Jumpstart check-in, so you can be checking in during that time. And then kickoff for the students starts officially at 4 o'clock. And so I'd say I would not get here later than about 3:30 if at all possible. 3:30, you get here immediately, you go and check in for the Jumpstart check-in, you go to do these activities, and then you've made sure that you've arranged for what time you're going to move in with the residence halls, like they mentioned earlier, sometime that evening outside of when activities are happening for Jumpstart. You can find that online too. If you go to wallawalla.edu/Jumpstart, you can see the schedule. And I will go ahead and broadcast that to everyone in the chat. So you can see for yourselves if you have questions about it. Okay, next question. Can you bring an Instapot for your room? Is that allowed?
So I had to Google this one because air fryers are allowed and the newer models of rice cookers are allowed, but the Instapot is it's looking like a slow cooker. So I'm not too sure. I would err on the side of caution and say no. If you do have an exact model and year and everything and maybe a picture for us, send it to residencehalls@wallawalla.edu. Email us, and then we can take a look at it a bit further. I'll have one of our deans check it out as well. But our biggest concern is it can't be an open heating element, right? So if it's going to melt or overheat or anything like that, it's more of a no.
I think with the Instapot is mostly like a high pressure cooker.
Mm.
And do you know if that's allowed, or does it just depend on what it is?
That would be a no then. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So high pressure would be a no. Don't bring that. Yeah, we don't want it to explode on accident. That would be bad. Okay, let's see. Next one is, are there sinks in the rooms? Yep. So every room's got a sink.
Every room has a sink.
You can brush your teeth there. You can get a drink of water. You can do all that kind of stuff. And as I said earlier, make sure you bring some cleaning supplies because you'll need to make sure that sink is clean throughout the year. Okay, next question is, what times do meals start and end in the cafeteria? So those meals during the school year typically start, I think at 7 a.m. is when they open for breakfast. And then there's a certain breakfast time. Then they'll move to lunch. And I think there's a little window in there where they're not open as they're transitioning. And then they're open from usually lunch, was it like 11 to like 1:30, I want to say?
Yeah, exactly. I just looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, did you? That's off the top of my head. I'm not cheating.
Yeah.
11 to 1:30, and then they're going to be open from 5 until 6:30 for dinner. Whew, got it. You can tell that I care about that, and I need to know when to open. Okay, next one is, and it looks like we're getting to the end of the question and answers. So if there's a question we haven't answered yet, feel free to put it in the chat box. Like I said, we'll stick by until we get to all of them, but we're starting to get to near the end, so I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. For the summer storage options in particular, does space ever run out, or are you almost always able to accommodate the storage requests for everyone who asks? Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're almost always able to accommodate everybody. It doesn't usually run out. And that's probably also because we have some students that like to just rent a storage space and then they all put their entire house in there. But no, we do usually have enough storage space for everybody.
Great, good answer. Okay, I think this might be the last question. We'll see. Are light bulb based candle warmers allowed?
Yes. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of, that's kind of a trend now, actually. I've seen a lot of, I have one too. But yeah, the light bulb is fine. It's just a light bulb. But we have to make sure that the wick is cut off of the candle. So if you cut off the wick and you use the light bulb based one, that's perfectly fine. Other candles like wax burners, that's not allowed. Or candles, no either.
Cool. You got to make sure that the vibes are right in the room, which is why they have the scented candles that they're able to do. Okay, that was a great last question, so thank you for asking that. It looks like that brings us to the end of the questions. Thank you to everyone for participating in this presentation. I hope that you found it helpful and that you feel ready to move into the residence halls with confidence for this coming fall quarter. I want to remind you that we've got 2 more presentations coming up for undergraduate students, the first of which is how to receive financial clearance, which will take place on Wednesday, August 12th. So a week from today, we'll do that at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The next one will be on Wednesday, August 19th, where we'll be hosting a workshop focused on preparing you for fall quarter, where we'll have a few representatives from across campus to give you the inside scoop on their departments and answer your questions such as, do you need to have a physical and immunization records before coming to college? How do you get your ID card, etc. If you'd like to attend these online presentations, you'll need a separate registration for each of them, and you can sign up for them at wallawalla.edu/workshops. We'll also be sending out some emails to help remind you that they're coming up. So watch your email, watch your junk inbox in case for some reason our stuff is sending there. Hopefully it's not, because we're going to send you important information, but want to make sure that you're able to be a part of that as well. Also, if you haven't yet had the chance to make a campus visit to Walla Walla University, I'd highly encourage you to do so. You have the opportunity to either visit us virtually or in person and do either of these visits. During either of these visits, you'll be able to get a tour of our campus, meet with the academic department you are interested, and you can even get your financial questions answered with a one-on-one appointment with a financial aid counselor. You can learn more about your visit options and sign up at wallawalla.edu/visit that you can see right here on the slide. It's a great opportunity. I really highly encourage you to do that. And we may even be able to help with some of your travel expenses. Also, it's important to note that campus visits for students coming for fall of 2026, that's only going to be available to you up to 2 weeks before the start of the quarter. Again, that's because we want to make sure that that's helping you with your decision making. Within 2 weeks, it's not for helping you figure out how to drop your kid off for school. So you've got a little bit over basically about a month-ish or so that you can do one of those visits that will help reimburse for. So yeah, great opportunity though. If you haven't done so yet, you're still trying to figure out if you're coming or not, highly encourage you to do the visit. Okay, we'd love to have your feedback about today's presentation. When we sign off, please take a moment to take a brief survey at wallawalla.edu/comment. We want to make sure presentations that we do are helpful to you guys, and your feedback is really valuable to us. We will read through all of them, and that's actually helped shape the presentations that they are today. That's from feedback we got, which is where we added some additional presentations because people wanted to know more about them. Also, if you think of something you forgot to ask, you can always give us a call or email us at info@wallawalla.edu, or you can send us a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll get back to you there. Also, a big thank you to Dean Castillo and Bethany for joining us today. It was great to have you here, and thank you for giving us part of your evening. Also, a big shout out to Chris Drake and to Kevin, who are producers for this evening. You have not seen them. They're behind the scenes making sure the slides are advancing and all the software is working, but thank you to them. And of course, the biggest thank you is to all of you who joined us for tonight's presentation. We're looking forward to getting to know you and having you on our campus this coming fall quarter. We hope to see you at the next presentations next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.